There's this innate drive for wellness inside of us, and I have to trust that everything that I choose to do, consciously or unconsciously, is trying to meet a higher need, some sort of powerful intention. And to me, that is self-love. Yes. That is the journey.
Welcome, Dr. Tonia. It's my pleasure to welcome you today on the Coconut Soul podcast. I'd love us to jump right now in the interview. And let's start off by your self-love story. I'd love you to share your self-love story with us, please.
Sure. And I will preface this story by saying it is very much in progress.
I love it.
So, yeah, what does it mean to be in love with oneself, to have self-love? It is a question that I've been thinking about for a long time, decades, I would say. I was young when I started to become curious about my relationship with myself. And I would say, I'm going to go back in time here. It was probably when I was around 16, 17 that I joined this this girls group, these two counselors in my area. They put a poster. I don't know if I saw this poster on like a telephone pole. I don't know where I saw this poster, but it was this poster to help support girls to feel confident. Yeah. And so these two counselors rented this basement, or maybe they got it for free, of some church, and had about 20 girls, 16 to 18-year-old girls, teenage girls in this room, and they would just help us learn to speak our needs and to use our I feel statements and our I need statements. And it was a really interesting time and experience because I don't think that had really been modeled for me as a kid.
Yeah.
There was a lot of martyrdom. There was a lot of codependence, a lot of bending over backwards to meet others' needs. Yeah. And so then to have these tools where I could say, like, no, that's not okay for me, that was really the beginning, I would say. And then over time, sometimes I would lose touch with those tools and forget them and go back into old patterns that I'd seen when I was little. And over time, though, bit by bit, this idea of being able to listen inside and not only listen to that voice, that little Tonia inside that's like, hey, I actually want you to maybe consider something different here, or can you stop this one thing here? It's not working, or yeah, go faster, or whatever the little voice is, not only to listen, but to heed. And it's been a real pleasure and honor to be able to also sort of work with others in the same way. Yeah. Because every time I work with a patient or a client, I've been in the helping profession now for a decade and a half. There's a mirror in there for me. There's something that I get to be like, oh, can I keep a bit of that, please? That's actually really helpful for me. And this idea of journey to self-love, I kind of want to bust that open as a myth, because one of the truths that I really believe about our bodies, our body minds, our unconscious minds, which is this intelligence inside of us that knows how to heal, wants to heal, can heal, it's always moving towards goodness and wholeness. Yeah. There's this innate drive for wellness inside of us, and I have to trust that everything that I choose to do, consciously or unconsciously, is trying to meet a higher need, some sort of powerful intention. And to me, that is self-love. Yes. That is the journey. And so I'm not trying to get to a place. I am on a journey with myself in myself, trying as best as possible to get to know myself and respect that person, honor her.
Yes.
And so it is a journey with an in versus towards and to in my mind.
I relate to that. And as you speak, not only your mind and your journey, what I feel is that you speak your piece. And for me, that is soothing, reassuring. And I like to take a moment to let it in. And I appreciate that you go back to acknowledging that young Tonia that is there. And that's the pure essence, the true essence, right? That's, hey, I'm there. Yeah, exactly. So maybe you're more settled, right? That's what I like in you, because I'm more like, and it's true that the younger me, the younger Nikky, at one point did not have to make as much noise to be noticed.
Yes.
Can you bounce back on what I just said?
Yeah. I want to riff on that for a little bit. So what I'm taking from what you've just said there is I didn't need to be, as loud or as, energetic or whatever to be noticed. And that's going to be true, right? You don't wake up every day thinking consciously, okay, today's the day I need to be. And I have this too. I was actually just writing in my journal about this today. There was this prompt that I was writing to that was like, what's one of your quirks that you feel pressure to quiet down? And I am very boisterous, effervescent, bold, like brazen, like let's be as loud as possible and have as much fun as possible. So I don't wake up every day being like, well, today's the day I need to tame that so that people will love me, right? That is a reaction to something that has occurred earlier in my life. And I like to use this example of the unconscious mind, our body minds, being like an empty filing cabinet when we're born. And as we go through life, especially those early years, 0 to 7, we're just taking everything in. And so it's almost as if people are opening up the doors of our filing cabinet and putting their own gosh darn files in. So we're getting mom's abandonment issues. We're getting dad's anger issues. We're getting older sisters, who knows what, fear issues. We're getting society's pressure. Like we're getting all of these files in our cabinet, and we don't actually have the brain development at that young age to say, you know what, I don't want that in my filing cabinet. That's not mine to have. Right? We just absorb it all. We don't have the ability to discern at that age. And so by the time we're age 7 or 8, it's sort of locked in. It's locked in how we see the world, because now everything that we experience, everything that we perceive has to match the filing system. It has to, it's filtered by our unconscious mind, and it has to match. And so then we go through life we've learned these reactions, we've learned these coping strategies. We haven't learned them consciously, we've learned them deep in our unconscious mind. And so now as adults, when we have these behaviors, again, that maybe from the outside aren't okay, and maybe even to us, they're not okay. They're decisions that we made a long time ago to get some sort of benefit or result. And the good news is that's all changeable. Nothing is static. Anything that we've learned, we can unlearn. And that's what I do with the work that I do with my clients, and also the work that I do for myself with my coaches, or with just even with my own personal work, is going in and changing the files that are in the cabinet. So that you have the key. So you have the key. And so that you end up seeing the world, reacting to the world, coping with the world in a more positive, affirmative way. So any tendency that we have adopted, it's a strategy, and it's a strategy that's helping us get something. And then the question is, well, if we can figure out what that thing is that we're trying to get, is there a more productive way to get that thing? And as an example, I use this as a bit of a way to kind of describe this. People are often wondering, like, why did he do that to me? Or why did so-and-so behave that way? Why did I behave that way? And asking why is
Does
a question
it
that
solve it? Yeah.
well, the question why will get us possibly to the root cause. Well,
Yeah.
you know, Dad left when I was 3. That's why.
Yeah.
And that doesn't get us out.
Exactly.
That doesn't change the filing system. It doesn't change the filtration system. The question, for what purpose about the behavior, is actually the way out. So, you know, he stormed off in a huff. Why? Well, Dad left when he was 3. He's got anger issues. Okay.
Yeah.
For what purpose did he storm off in a huff? To keep himself safe.
Yeah.
Oh, like now this is different. And then we can even take that a level deeper. Well, keep himself safe for what purpose? Peace, freedom. There's something on the other side of that.
Yeah.
So the riff here that I'm on for a few minutes.
It's a great riff. Keep it on. Keep it coming.
Ultimately, that's our way out. When we can ask that question enough, for what purpose, eventually we get to a place where we can get that outcome in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, for me, we talked a little bit before we started recording about my tendency in terms of my thought process often is I need to do more to be worth more, to be more valuable. And so there's a behavior there that's a strategy that little Tonia has created to get something.
Yeah.
And whether it's, you know, acknowledgement, recognition, love, attention.
Yeah.
For what purpose? What are all those things helping me get? Connection.
Yeah.
Intimacy. You know, deep love. And I would even argue self-love.
Yeah.
And so what other ways can I get access to those things without having to overdo and burn myself out?
Yes.
And there's lots of other ways. There's lots of other ways to come to that peace that you're describing, you know, that you caught on to earlier.
I love it. I love it. And my takeaway is the power of asking the right question and even the power of asking a question. And that reminds me, when I was a kid, I was in school and I would put my hand up. I was waiting for the teacher because I had a question in my head. And when the teacher would come, I would voice my question. And as I would voice the question, I would know the answer. And I did not need the teacher. So 2 things: asking that question out loud or by journaling, as you mentioned. The answer will come, and then asking the right question.
Yeah.
So, and right now I did not ask you many questions because I know that when I talk, you have something to bounce from. And again, from what I just said, where do you want to go, Tonia?
I love that. And I think coming back to this idea, this journey with and in self-love, it's really all about curiosity and compassion. And those questions, and those good questions, encompasses that curiosity and then the compassion to be with that. Yeah, to be with that. You know, for what purpose? Safety. Yeah. For what purpose? Safety for what purpose? Rest. And to be with that, the compassion to be present with that. I think those 2 C's, the curiosity, the compassion, are, you know, if we could make a math formula about self-love, I feel like those would be the major variables in this formula.
And I relate to that. In the past weeks, I've been resting so much. And each time I have deep conversations intimate conversations and intimacy. I will invite you to talk about intimacy in one moment, because intimacy is not always what we think. So deep, intimate conversations, even spiritual, or not necessarily spiritual conversations, but conversations that will evoke a spiritual meaning for me. I need to rest. And I'm allowing myself to rest with no guilt. And the opposite of guilt is with, I would say, as I trust the process and as I acknowledge that this is what is not what I need, but what is beneficial, or what is a benefit for me right now. And that has slowed me down. So we were talking before that I'm exploring my creativity, and I did a series of squiggles, and in those squiggles, out of 3, there was like a snail, and the snail with the shell on it. How do you call those? A slug?
Without, yes, a slug. Yeah.
With the snail with the shell is a
snail.
Is a snail. Perfect. So I was drawing those snails, and they wanted to go fast, but a snail is slow, right? So that was a representation for me of, yeah, you're a snail and you want to go fast. Slow down, Nikky. Slow. And I've been doing that, and I am doing way better. So that was my parenthesis of resting and accepting, acknowledging that it was a benefit for me. Going back to intimacy. What are your thoughts, or in your opinion, what is intimacy? And how does it benefit our soul?
I feel like there's
Go ahead.
Go with this, and
you could go explore both. We have time.
Because there's, of course, self-intimacy, and I think we've been really touching on that quite well. Getting, pausing so that you can ask the right questions and listen and heed. Curiosity and compassion, that's that self-intimacy. And then, of course, there's the intimacy with others. And I'm in the wellness space. I've been a naturopathic doctor now for 16 years. I've really, really realized that health is not something we do just for the sake of it. Health is a vehicle that drives us to the things in life that light us up. And it's all about relationships. People, I want to be fit and healthy and well so I can get on the floor and play Legos with my grandkids. I want to be able-bodied so I can hike with my partner. I'm a dancer. Everything that I sort of focus on is being able to be present with my dance partner. And so intimacy with others is so dependent on our own balance and alignment. And we, as humans, need relationship. That's such an integral part of us as a species. And it's not that there's this person who's 50% and this person that's 50%, and then together they make 100.
Thank you.
They have to come together as 100 and 100. And then the synergy of that relationship is even bigger and more magnificent. So I think intimacy is part of this sort of self-healing process, this self coming in and with self-love. And then also knowing that the person that you are in relationship with is also on a journey, and they may be further along on that journey or behind you in that journey, but they're magnificent, and they're doing, again, everything to try to have some sort of need met, I should say. And so, to have the idea of, and really, oh boy, brains are like the matrix of ideas. So let me just let's
pause.
Let's rein this in, Tonia. It's like my excited brain. this idea of intimacy with others offers us something that we can't have on our own, but we need to have our own intimacy for us to be able to get that thing from others. And that phrase,
that is key.
Yes, thank you. I think it is key. That phrase, hurt people. Have you heard that phrase? Yes. I think the flip is also importantly, healed people heal people.
Yes.
The more that we can come to a place of self-acceptance, love, worth, value, intimacy, the more we can deepen those things in our relationships with the people outside of our bodies.
Yeah. Let's take it again.
Healed people, heal people.
Yes.
And
with the intimacy, because you said it in two different ways. You said we need to be intimate with others, and you also said it in another way. So as you spin it around and as it sparkles in every way in your brain, what's the new spin you bring to that idea, Tonia?
Yeah. Ultimately, the relationships in our lives are what bring our lives richness. And to be able to access that richness, we need to have that in ourselves first and foremost.
And how do we create that within ourselves?
Curiosity and compassion.
Like, yes!
Like mind-blowing emoji? Is that?
A sound, actually. Blah!
Blah!
And we've just squiggled together. I love it. Yes. So the two C's were compassion and
curiosity. Yeah. And it's like there's this universal bank that we can go and make a withdrawal from, but we have to make sure we're putting deposits in as well. And those deposits are those good questions, pausing to heed and listen and act accordingly, or rest accordingly, whatever is the suggestion from inside. Okay,
so let's come back.
Okay.
Because this is key to those questions.
Yes.
So you said there's a universal, like infinite bank that we can make. You did not use the word withdrawal.
I think I did. Yeah, we can make withdrawal. So if we're thinking about intimacy with others, that idea of having richness in our lives, in our relationships, we can make these withdrawals from the universal bank.
Okay,
and great. We need to be repleting that by making deposits in our own bank account, our own intimacy bank account.
Amazing.
Has the metaphor spread out too much? Is it still working?
No, it's beautiful. I love the metaphor. It's beautiful. So you mentioned that we make those withdrawals by asking the right questions.
Yeah. And I'd say there's two amazing questions that we can really use to practice curiosity and compassion for ourselves. Question one is, for what purpose?
Yes.
So any behavior, any symptom, any thought, any feeling, any belief, for what purpose? What purpose is this trying to serve for me?
Okay.
And question number two is, and this gets us more into our value system, is what's important to me about that? Trusting that every single behavior that we engage in is trying to get us somewhere or get us something. What's important to me about that? So I spend a night watching Netflix, eating Doritos. What's important to me about that?
My. Right? I want Doritos now.
Throw in some Skittles. Why not? Like, what's important to me about that? Well, this is my checkout time. This is like my rest. Well, what's important to me about that?
Yes.
Maybe there's some peace that I'm trying to access. So for what purpose? What's important to me about that? These will help us hone in on the things that are really calling to us from within, these deeper desires. And so then once we have a bit of a compass, a bit of a North Star to say, well, this is what I'm actually really trying to achieve, peace, love, calm, joy, energy, whatever the thing is. Well, how can I get those things? How can I behave differently?
Yes.
So then this becomes sort of the bridge question from just thinking into action.
That's where I wanted to go.
Yeah. How can I behave differently so that I can have more energy? Well, if I work out in the mornings, I'm going to feel great. I'm going to have more energy.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yes.
No, good to know. If I, make a plan and get to bed and turn my light up by 10 p.m., most likely I'm going to have a better sleep and I'm going to be rested in the morning. And so then you start to kind of look at these self-care practices and habits. Okay, if I need to set a boundary in a relationship that may be problematic in some way, these are the behaviors that you start to practice. It's always a practice.
It is, yes.
It's always in progress.
Like go back and do it again
Yeah.
and try new ways.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So what's important to me about that? For what purpose? Okay, I know I want these things. These are the values that I'm trying to embody. And how can I behave so that I can actually get those things met? And then it's a question of, for me, I'm a scheduler. I like to put things on my calendar. Some people hate that. That's binding and very unfree for them. That actually helps me feel more free is when I have this is. And safety. I leave a margin for magic. Like I don't schedule mine. I like to have some planned spontaneity time.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's an oxymoron.
Yeah. So that's the curiosity. And then the compassion comes when I'm watching, binging, let's say Netflix, eating those Skittles, those Doritos.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, it's okay. I'm doing this right now. I acknowledge that there's a need. I question what was my purpose. And then I say, oh, this is the value, or I've questioned myself. And okay, I feel a bit of discomfort. How can I answer this need in a healthier way that is in line with my values?
Totally, exactly. And when you ask those how questions, when you pose that to your unconscious mind, your body is going to come back with a process. It's going to come back with a way forward.
Yeah.
So how can I do this differently? What, just the how questions are super, super key. And yes, exactly. In that moment when you're like, oh, here I am doing this behavior, when you get the consciousness of the presence and that almost that self-witness of, oh gosh, here I am, like again, doing this thing that I don't want to be doing. Okay, you can ask those questions. For what purpose? What's important to me? How can I do something different? And knowing that there's no bad people.
Yeah.
There's maybe quote unquote bad behaviors, although I very loosely put that in quotation marks.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no unresourceful people, only unresourceful states. And so it can just be a self-recognition of, okay, right now I'm making this choice. Own the choice.
Exactly.
Here I am doing this thing.
Yeah.
Is this helping me? Maybe it is in that moment. And maybe, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then okay, great. Now I know that I'm willing to look at things differently. How can I move forward and change things?
Yeah, exactly. That's empowering.
Resourceful. Exactly.
Yeah. It's never, it's rarely empowering to beat ourselves up.
That's right.
The compassion. Right. Okay, now let's shift.
Okay.
You wrote a book.
I did, yeah.
About smiling in the shower. What's the complete title of that book?
Yes, it's called Smiling in the Shower, the simple, swift way to break through burnout and create happy, energized days.
Wow, I love it. So I love in your title, the smiling in the shower, the idea of breakthrough and the idea of being energized. I'd like us to talk about what your book is about and how it can transform lives, Tonia.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Yeah.
I would love to talk about that.
Okay, go. Let's go on.
My raison d'etre on this planet. Yeah. So, Smiling in the Shower is a book that is sort of a marriage between the two modalities that I work in to help people and also help myself. So, naturopathic medicine, which is my life's deepest love, philosophically and also practically. Oh. And then now neuro-linguistic programming, which is this body of knowledge that helps people to be their best version of themselves.
Yeah.
And I was finding in my practice as a naturopathic doctor that people were I'm going to own my own dissatisfaction of meeting with a patient, and we would put a plan together for their well-being and their health and for them to be able to reach their goals. And they'd come back to me and inevitably they'd say, eating my broccoli is hard. And I make light of this. And it really got me thinking, like, is that true? Eating your broccoli is hard? And it's a metaphor for whatever the thing is that the person wants to be doing to take care of themselves that they're not doing. So maybe it's getting to bed on time, getting more water, getting movement, nature time, setting boundaries in relationships, communicating effectively, on and on and on, right? All of these ideas of self-care. And I just got so curious about this moment in human psychology. Why is it, and why? Not the best question in this instance, but I was like, what is hard about eating one's broccoli?
Yeah.
And I realized that it's not the act of doing these things. It's not the act of turning the light out at 10 p.m. It's not the act of steaming the broccoli or putting it in your mouth. It's the decision to do that. And I just became obsessed with this moment in human psychology that we decide to wake up and take care of ourselves. And we decide the next day to do it over and over again. And so thankfully, neuro-linguistic programming came into my life, and it was the perfect bridge. I can help people change their decision-making process with these neurological reprogramming tools, so that eating the broccoli is easy, so that waking up with energy is easy, so that having peace in their body is easy. And it's all about changing those files that are in that filing cabinet, taking out the ones that are painful and putting in the ones that we want and that we want to be primed for. So energy, peace, love, joy, whatever it is. Now, Smiling in the Shower, the title of this book, came because one of my patients who I'd been seeing for years, probably a decade, and regularly she'd come back and we'd kind of just have the same conversation over and over again. And in my mind, I'm like, we're just circling the drain here. Like, we're not really getting anywhere. And she opted in to become one of my sort of early adopter beta tester clients when I started doing NLP work. And about 3 or 4 sessions in, she sent me this email, and the language in her email really grabbed my attention. She said, by the way, my husband caught me smiling in the shower this morning. And he said to her, you never smile. And she goes, I don't know why I was smiling. I was just so happy. And that moment for me, reading this email from her, I was like, this is what I want to be putting out into the world. I want to be the person who's helping people to smile in the shower, feeling so good when they wake up, so enticed about their coming day that they're smiling in the shower, because that smile ripples out into her own family, into her students as a music teacher, and those kids take that smile home to their families. And I just got so jazzed by this idea of this one little smile, this micro marker of her massive change, that and how it could just completely be one of those things that helps other people heal. So that had to be the title of the book.
It's a beautiful story. I love it. I love it. The impact, right? And she had to write it in an email, and the husband witnessed it.
Yes. And he caught me.
I know.
Like it was this naughty thing that she was doing, right?
It was. Because she never does
maybe that was the case for her, right? Growing up, maybe that wasn't something that you could do and be okay, right?
It's true. I love it. We went a bit overboard.
You did.
That's the part in your schedule where there's some space for magic.
Margin for magic. That's right.
Exactly. We took that margin. And apparently there's a link between time and intimacy.
Time and intimacy, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the letters of time are in intimacy, T-I-M, right in there.
Wow.
Is it a linguistic link?
I already loved you. I love you even more.
So,
Yeah, go
yeah, I
ahead.
mean, and we can intimacy and time. Yeah, we need time to cultivate intimacy, right?
Yes. Oh, you are one smart woman. I love it. And I always ask this question before we wrap up, which is, do you have anything else that you'd like to share
Mm.
before we say goodbye?
In case it was missed and I haven't emphasized it, I will take this opportunity to emphasize that your body knows how to heal, it wants to heal, and it can heal.
Ah, yes. So that was being my energized person, and I will repeat it. So my body, your body knows how to heal.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
And it wants to.
And it wants to. My body knows how to heal, and it wants to heal.
Yeah.
So does my mind
Yes.
and my soul.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, now something new.
Mm-hmm.
And Tonia, you are the first one to experience this with me. We're going to do a squiggle. Squiggles are not just about drawing, they're also about sound and movement. I will invite you. We will do 2 squiggles together.
Okay.
So do you want to go first or do I go first?
I'll go first.
First. Okay, perfect. So I will invite you to give feedback of the interview with a sound, and I will complete your squiggle. So when you're ready, you may go. I even added movement. I love it.
I liked it.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, my turn of the feedback of the interview.
La 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 la.
Tonia, lovely, lovely, lovely. It was a pleasure and an honor for me to welcome you on the Coconut Soul podcast today. I have a sense of peace and completion right now as I am wrapping up this interview today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your wisdom, generosity, and honesty.
Thank you so much, Nikki. It has been an absolute delight and honor to be here.
Thank you.